you have created with your belief systems between spirit and physical form. It is simply that your body is your spirit in physiological terminology. Your spirit does not literally inhabit the body. This is a perception that you have all created because of the way you have defined your physical reality to exist. Because you think of things existing within other things. Because you have taught yourself to believe that other things exist outside of other things. You have created the perspective, the illusion as it were, the reality, same thing, that your spirit and your consciousness exist within your body. But your body is simply an extension of the idea that you are, of the consciousness that you are. Now, many times you make the differentiation, body, mind, spirit, emotional self. All these things are truly aspects of the total idea you are. And you do, in creating there to be a definitional difference, create in your experience a real difference. But that real difference is no more solid than the definition itself. Definitions are what create reality. How you view it is how you experience it. What you put out is what you get back. What you radiate is the frequency that identifies with you and that manifests in your life. Definitions themselves are physical reality. Physical reality is the definition you give it. Body, mind, spirit, body, soul. These ideas, these seemingly different ideas, are simply different reflections of the same consciousness that exist, I'll say coexist, simultaneously with all the other manifestations, all the other ways you have of expressing the idea, the consciousness that you are. So, simultaneously you are consciousness as body, consciousness as spirit, consciousness as mind, consciousness as soul, as emotional self. You are, at the same time, all these different ideas, the same consciousness expressing itself in all the different ways it simultaneously can, because you are made in the image of the infinite creator, and therefore, like the infinite creator, you are a multidimensional being as well. You are a reflection of the whole. And so you have many different ways that you can express yourself. What you think of, perhaps, as different, quote-unquote, ideas, different experiences completely, such as having a physical experience and then having a non-physical experience. These are simultaneous manifestations of the soul, the oversoul, the consciousness idea that you are. They all exist now. They are analogous to different frequencies, as it were, different programs, if you wish to think of it that way, all going on at the same time. Your focus, because of what you have defined physical reality to be, seems to be limited mostly to the physical reality. But it isn't. You are very aware on all other levels as the total being that you are. But because one of the variables and one of the ingredients that you have built into your definition of physical reality has been forgetfulness, the ability to forget that you are on all levels at once, you have now then created a series of circumstances that you call multiple life experiences to play out that scenario, that momentum of forgetfulness, and now you have arrived at the end of that cycle. Now that is why you are all, as we have said many times, waking up, and that is why you are exploring all these different ideas of consciousness and spirituality and mentality. Because you are remembering that you do in fact already exist on all those different levels. That you are remembering that you are in fact a complete and total representation of the infinite creation. And therefore you are rediscovering aspects of yourself, presentations of yourself that are simultaneously going on in what you simply might refer to as a spiritual band, a mental band, and any other nomenclature that you choose to give it. But it is all one thing. You. It is all simultaneously you. It is simply different eyes, so to speak, that you have, all within the same body, so to speak, that you are. And you can express it in any number of ways. And you are expressing it in all the ways that it can be expressed. As you wake up to this more and more and more, you will begin to realize and connect with all the other aspects that you are, all the other identities that you are, all the other realities, all the other dimensions that you are. Notice I did not say can be. I said that you are. For you are the total sum of existence right now. All that is infinite creation, infinite creator, what you may choose to call God, is all of us together. And all of us together is the infinite creation, realizing itself, manifesting itself in all the simultaneous ways that it is possible to be. For anything that is conceived of is a reality, for you cannot imagine non-existence. All the things that we usually discuss with you are simply for the purpose of allowing you, at whatever rate you are comfortable with, to realize the self-empowerment, the decision-making capability, the conscious commandment that you have to be your expression of the infinite, to live and create as you prefer to. We extend to you our appreciation in allowing us to reflect back to you our utter faith and utter belief in your ability to be whatever you wish to be. Because you are already anything and everything there is to be. It's simply a matter of focusing on whatever window or frequency or perspective of the self you already are that you prefer to focus as. It is not a matter of a long and difficult process to become something you are not. It is the simple flick of a dial to another program that you already are. This is what we always find most joyful to reflect to you. Your own inner light. A light which illuminates every corner you have created. Nothing is hidden from that light when you decide that you are willing to allow all to come to the surface. And when you are willing to do that, I guarantee you, there is absolutely nothing you will ever discover about yourself that cannot be applied in a loving and positive way in your life, unless you choose to believe differently. But that is up to you. We remind you that when we talk about the idea of using trust, we are not telling you to do something you have never done before. We are not telling you to do something you don't know how to do. All of you have always, I know, some of you may not believe this, all of you have always used utter trust, 100% faith and trust throughout your entire life. Simply a matter of whether you trust in negative or positive reality. But the mechanism is the same. You have always trusted in something, whether it be a negative or a positive. So recognize that when we talk about using trust, you do not have to pull out a large, dusty machine that has never been used and take it all apart and break it all apart and toil and struggle and sweat to scrub it and clean it as if it is absolutely fossilized. No. It works flawlessly and always has. It doesn't care, this mechanism of trust, whether you feed negative beliefs or positive beliefs into it. It will simply spit out at the other end whatever you have put in, automatically. And there is nothing within that device that has a mind of its own that will take what you put in and turn it around into something that you did not put in. There is nothing hidden within it. The mechanism is simply simply the idea that you are at any given moment. The idea you are willing to be at any given moment. The idea you have the conviction to be with integrity at any given moment. That is all there is to it. So all we are doing in assisting you is redefining the idea of reality that you have been living to allow you to recognize you can redefine it any way you want to, any way you prefer to. And that the mechanism has always worked and always will. And there are no exceptions in terms of your ability to use that mechanism. You all use it, you always will. No one is excluded from having the knowledge of using that mechanism. If you were, you would not exist. Existence itself implies that you work the mechanism flawlessly. For everything that exists fits. There is no such thing as an extraneous creation. You can label yourself that way if you wish. You can believe that you lack deservability if you wish. But by definition, if you exist, you must fit. Otherwise, you would not exist. So to begin with, at least, grant yourself the ability, the respect, the deservability, and the unconditional love out of which you were created to simply know beyond a shadow of a doubt that no matter what process you may choose to create, you have what it takes to create what you prefer, regardless of how you get there. You have what it takes, or you wouldn't exist. Period. We thank you for this opportunity in sharing with you. We thank you for choosing to function at this time as ambassadors of your world, for that is what you are right now. And we thank you for allowing us to function as ambassadors of our respective worlds, for I speak for many. And bit by bit and day by day, your willingness to co-create these interactions and your willingness to discover yourselves and be equal with us is what creates an atmosphere that makes it conducive for us to meet you face to face in time, where we can function as equals, share as equals, explore as equals in ecstasy. We thank you for this gift of sharing. In return, I ask you now, how may I serve you?
Howdy, Bashar.
Good day to you.
Body and soul. God, you know what? They can make a movie and a good song title out of that one.
All right.
Anyway, I'm not excited. I don't know. It's been like this for quite a while. I think this knob you're talking about, I lost it and I can't tune the dial.
Oh, all right. Are we, in this case, supposed to be laughing at a joke?
Normally I'm a comedian, but I don't feel very funny right
now. All right.
So, anyway, it's been going on for quite a spell now. And
all right. Now, you do remember that when we talk about the idea of doing what excites you, that doesn't necessarily mean that every single moment you're going to be jumping up and down. The idea of a peaceful knowingness and absolute certainty can also be representative of that excitement, of that vibration that represents that you know that you are in synchronous alignment with the path you chose to be. Doesn't mean you have to be running around all the time. It can be a very steady conviction, a balanced knowingness, a certainty. Understand?
Oh, yeah, that's kind of, I guess, the way it's been. Just relaxed and...
Yeah.
I want a little more excitement than that.
Then, what would you like to do?
I don't know. Well, the closest thing to excitement is I saved a girl last week from getting raped.
All right.
I quit chasing her.
All right. You see, you have the ability to create a higher vibration with your humor.
Yeah.
Do you find that exciting?
Oh, yeah, but it's short-lived.
Why?
Because I don't always have an audience to stand up in front of and tell jokes to.
Well, any time you are willing to be that person, you will always have an audience automatically.
I was hoping I'd get some deep subject of advice or something to look at instead of gentle flow, which I don't know how to ask you the right questions, because even last time I talked to you, I didn't ask any question. I just kind of talked a little bit.
All right. Now, the idea of wanting something to be exciting, what's wrong with right now being exciting? Do you remember the question we asked all of you as to what was the most important thing of all?
Yep.
And the answer was?
Where I'm at right now.
The thing you are doing right now. Therefore, If you truly allow yourself to understand that what you are doing right now is, and must be by definition, the most important thing of all at any given moment, then you will start looking at it that way. When your attitude changes, you will start realizing that you are where you are for a reason, and will start allowing yourself to get out of the moment what you really need to, rather than perhaps assuming that this moment contains nothing for you that would generate excitement. Have the curiosity and the fascination of a child, and you'll be excited about everything.
Are you trying to tell me I should go get that knob that I got locked up in the drawer and turn to channel a little bit?
Yes. A child would create the knob.
Uh-huh.
Understand? Where's your imagination?
Oh, boy. I think I left it in the second row.
All right. The second row is within you. You can go and search it. And if you find it exciting to search for it, you will keep searching for a long time. Once it becomes more exciting to have the knob, you will find the knob. Obviously, though, at whatever rate it takes, that is obviously what you have defined to be the most exciting thing. Sometimes an individual can say that I wish dullness to be what excites me for now. I wish to play around in the idea of boredom.
This is not dullness or boredom. It's more like a limbo. And if I look at it deeply, I get this Lemurian aspect, and it's kind of just hanging there. And that's
Lemurian aspects do not just hang.
I got mine tied by a rope, I guess, on the ceiling.
Understand that a limbo state is for the purpose of recognizing that everything in that limbo state is an equal opportunity. So act upon the one you want to. If they're all equal, it doesn't really matter which one you do act upon. And if you act upon one, it may become more obvious which one you really would prefer to act upon. But act upon something, and everything else will fall into place. The limbo state is not for the purpose of remaining in it in an inactive way. The limbo state is to allow you to understand that you are not particularly locked into any specific reality. You don't have to be. It is for you to understand that you are now open to any reality you want to be open to, and to act in a direction. The limbo state is not for sitting in unless that's what excites you, to sit in that limbo state. But the only reason it would continue to feel just like a limbo state is because you simply are only acting within the idea of maintaining the limbo state, rather than acting upon any one of the opportunities, the infinite number of probable opportunities that are offered to you in that limbo state. So, the idea again is to act upon your imagination. If you have, here is a very simple mechanism. All of you, this will work for anything and everything. Very simple. Your imagination, as we have discussed, is the template, the blueprint. If you conjure up in your imagination an image, a vision of how you prefer to be, then take whatever situation is going on in your life, hand it to the you that you have conjured up that is representative of the excited person you would prefer to be, and watch how the you in your imagination handles the situation you have given them. Then copy them. And you'll get the same effect that they get in their excited state of handling all things in that excited way. That's what your imagination is for. To copy it. It gives you the picture, the blueprint, the path, the methodology, the ritual, whatever will work best for you. Create an image and mirror the image. Then you will be that person, and you will have that lifestyle automatically. That's what a child does. It sees and it becomes. It sees and it becomes. It sees and it becomes. It does not question whether what it sees is valid. A child knows it is within integrity, so it doesn't have to stop and question it. It sees and it becomes. It expands and it grows. You can do that. You can play. 'Tis up to you.
Thank you for that. I basically already knew what you said, but I'd sure love to hear you say it.
Well, thank you. But remember, we are only reflecting what you do already know. And you do not necessarily need me to reflect it.
Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
For playing with us.
Okay. See you later.
All right. Sharing.
Bashar.
Good day to you.
Good day to you. I'm in a rather unique position. I'm really
All of you
enjoying myself now. I have a wonderful attitude. I feel good.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
I recently had...
One moment. If you please, would you do me a favor?
Sure.
All right, thank you. Replace the word but with and.
And?
Yes. I am in a wonderful place, a wonderful attitude. I feel good and. Not but. And.
I recently had a very bad physical situation. I had a heart attack.
Oh, all right.
It's hard to tell by looking or listening.
All
but
right.
I did. I've had all kinds of advice about how to proceed from this point on.
Yes.
I don't wish to do anything.
Nothing at all.
I prefer having a good time, had a good attitude, looking good and feeling good.
And that is not something?
It is great, but it is opposed to medical advice.
In what sense?
Bypass surgery has been suggested.
All right.
For one.
How does that allow you to examine yourself? When you are given an opportunity to examine that particular belief system, what does it get you to face within yourself? What does it allow you to examine within yourself? What comes up?
What comes up is an expectation that a change would take place which is not within my control.
Why not?
My own position would be that I would be sedated.
Yeah.
Going through a traumatic invasion of my body.
But if you have agreed to it, why would it be that way or have to be that way? If it is representative of your belief system and you are choosing to follow your belief system, it doesn't necessarily have to be represented that way. Not that we are suggesting that it must be the only way, but if it is representative of your belief system and you make the conscious choice to do it, believing that it will be of reflective assistance to you, it doesn't have to be traumatic. One definition doesn't necessarily have to bring along with it any other definition. They are not automatically attached. You can define any idea in any number of ways. You can say, quite easily, heart surgery is traumatic, heart surgery is easy. Both are true and real. Or there can be many other ways that are alternatives as well. But they are all just as equal.
And certain others have been presented to me.
Does one strike a stronger chord within you?
At the present time, no. None seems to be better than the choice I'm making now. Which is just to continue.
All right. Are you owning the creation?
Yes.
What is it you are discovering about yourself in having created that situation in your life? In other words, why do you believe you needed to create that situation?
It's just a wonderful state of being that I'm in.
I mean the heart attack.
The heart attack?
Yes. Why did you choose that manifestation in your life? Have you owned creating the heart attack?
Through a long period of doing something bad for my body, namely smoking.
All right. And again, in and of itself, no physiological idea is intrinsically positive or negative, although you can recognize things that might generally carry a negative flow based on the mass-conscious belief system of any particular society. And if you carried with you the idea that it was negative for your body, then examine why you would choose to have done that, why you would have chosen to create the attack as you did. Did it serve you in a positive way to have created that attack?
The way I feel now, yes.
All right.
It must have, because I feel wonderful.
If you can recognize the reason for any particular physiological circumstance in your life and allow yourself to receive the information within you and recognize that you are willing to receive that information in other ways, not necessarily as abruptly attention-getting, then you will allow yourself to let that information in smoother ways and will not necessarily have to bring yourself to the brink of an attack to force yourself to look at something that you refused to look at before. And then you can allow the original symptom to clear up if it is really no longer needed. If there is something that it brings to you, information that it brings to you that you are not willing to face and integrate within you, then it will probably reoccur to continue to force you to face things you are denying that you should be looking at. But if you are willing to understand why you created it, the reason why you created it, get out of it the information you need to, accept that you can get the information in other ways, more positive ways, change the attitude accordingly, then the whole idea can clear up. It is simply a matter of whether or not you are bypassing the information you need to be looking at.
No pun intended, for sure.
Are you understanding?
Yes.
Have you gotten in touch with how it has served you in that way? Do you feel you understand completely why you created that issue? To divert your attitude in another flow.
Don't know if I ever would understand completely, but I do.
Do you understand it enough
Yes.
to have created the divergence of the attitude?
Yes.
Then you understand it as completely as you need to. If you are willing to trust that that is truly how it served you, if you have examined it in that way, then trust that you are now allowing a flow to generate through you, and the flow will clear out anything that you would call a blockage. But it is up to you. Always examine what your strongest belief system really is. For regardless of how you think you would like to use it, if you actually trust more strongly in the belief system of the surgery being able to do something for you other than your own decisions making a difference, then it would be strongly suggested that you follow your strongest belief if you want to. Understand?
Yes, thank you, Bashar.
Well, has this served you?
Yes. Oh,
Well,
yes.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Shooting!
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I'm sitting here trying to figure out why I've created the reality of having to go to the bathroom at this particular moment in time.
All right. Are you dealing with urgency?
Oh, that could be real appropriate.
All right.
My question or my...
Brings you into the moment, doesn't
Yes,
it?
certainly does.
Not scattered now, are you? You know right where you are.
Oh, yeah.
May I string this out a little longer?
Oh, sure.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you. My husband and I have been married about 2.5, 3 years.
All right.
And we're kind of at an impasse in terms of...
Kind of at an impasse.
He is very much drawn to the Pacific Northwest.
Yes.
He has a very strong urgency to move there.
Oh, urgency again. All right.
Yeah, it seems, I think it's an appropriate word because it seems to have become much more urgent lately. And...
Why?
Oh, I think he's been examining where he really wants to be.
Oh, all right.
I think he likes the weather,
All
a
right.
lot of rain.
And what about you?
I like those things too, but I'm having some difficulty with it.
Why?
I love him very much.
Yes.
I want to be with him.
Yes.
But I have a couple of ties here.
Ties?
Namely, my family that I'm very close with.
Yes.
That I get a lot of love, support, sustenance from.
Yes.
And my business
Yes.
is here.
Yes.
Were I to uproot and go to the Pacific Northwest, I would be leaving those two things.
May I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Now, I am not attempting in any case to imply that you should or should not make a move. However, in re-examining your definition of this situation, the question I would enjoy asking you is, why are you looking at that type of a move as an uprootment as opposed to an expansion?
Good
Why
question.
do you assume that a physical move in space represents a cutting off of attachments?
I don't know, but that's what I've been doing.
Oh, all right. Do you have to? Do you have to create that assumption? Can you envision that if you truly do desire to go to that area, and you truly do desire to maintain those connections, as you have said, that if both of those things really do represent the overall idea of you functioning within your strongest intention and strongest integrity and strongest excitement, that somehow, automatically, those two things would be seen as details of the same one idea, and that they would automatically find a way to fit, and that the timing would work itself out one way or another to allow you to not feel cut off. That your circumstances and situations would simply surprise you by giving you opportunities to always be where you need to be when you really need to be there. And that you are not isolating or stranding yourself on some far distant asteroid.
I hadn't really thought of it like that.
All right. Just as a little suggestion.
Please.
Perhaps simply to put certain things in perspective, and again, this is not necessarily to imply that you should or should not move. Take one of the maps that exist of your planet, on whatever scale you wish to, perhaps the smallest one you can find, and see just how short the distance is between where you are now and where you say you want to move.
Okay.
You can create it to be, experientially speaking, the same place. Understand? It's all a matter of perspective. It may seem like a great distance from one point of view, but it doesn't have to. If you are many thousands of your miles out in space and you are looking at your planet, it doesn't seem like such a great distance at all, does it?
No. So you're saying it's more of a perspective?
Yes, of course. There is no reason to assume that you are going to be stranded. If your life is flowing in a natural direction, and you really do prefer to be in a certain area, and you really do recognize that you have attachments to other areas, then assume they are all inclusive and mutually enhancing within the overall idea you are expanding into, and not mutually, in that sense, excluding of each other. Understand? You are broadening your horizons.
Yes.
Many individuals, paradoxically enough, sometimes will find, to help reinforce that sense that they haven't really necessarily put space or distance between themselves and other individuals or situations, will find that sometimes when they make a move, many times they actually wind up seeing the individuals they moved away from more often than when they lived right next door to them. Understand?
Yes.
So you do not necessarily, all we are saying, have to assume that the move automatically implies a cut of your ability to be where you need to be when you need to be there. Understand?
Yes.
Let yourself assimilate all these things as details that all fall under your overriding intention, and that will allow them to fall into line how they need to, automatically. Because all details, pay attention, all details are subordinate to your overriding intention. Your intention is not subordinate to the details in your life. You create the details with your intention. So when you expand your view, your definition, your intention of yourself, all the details that you have in your life that truly need to be there will find a place to fit by definition. Remember, we said there are no such things as extraneous and pointless creations. If they belong in your life, they'll fit. And they'll allow your life to work as you want it to. Understand?
Yes, thank you.
So let it soak in. And then allow the natural decision, the obvious decision, to come up. And also do remember that even if sometimes one individual and another individual prefer different areas, physically speaking, you are still connected. You do also not have to assume, again, that the idea of physical distance in any way, shape, or form has to be, in your terms, a hamper on the relationship you are. Understand?
Yes.
Does that serve you?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sharing.
Hello, Bashar.
And good day to you.
Good day to you. My question is, I have been married for 9 years.
All right.
And my husband, a little over 6 months ago, decided he no longer wanted the responsibility of being married and being a father. And my daughter and I are now in a transitional stage.
Oh, all right.
And wondering where we're going.
Oh, all right.
Namely, will I find my soulmate in this lifetime?
Well, I've already been with several. Now, once again, we understand what you mean when you use the term soulmate. But it has many times a broader definition than you all think. Any individual you're interacting with at any given moment must, by definition, be your soulmate for that moment. Because they're the ones you need to be with at that moment, obviously, or you'd be with someone else. So, in a sense, that's one definition of a soulmate. For all relationships are for the purpose of allowing you to learn what you need to learn about yourself, and by being of service to allow the other individual to learn what they need to learn. Now, the idea about what you typically refer to as a soulmate can be very easily understood when you recognize that everyone is simply a reflection in different ways, to different degrees, of other individuals that they interact with. And if you are looking for an individual that in your terminology represents ecstasy, joy, spontaneity, creativity, I assume this is what you usually mean when you say I'm looking for my soulmate.
Correct.
Be those things by yourself. Be the complete relationship with yourself that you are, and then you can attract an individual into your life to reflect those things you are being. Sometimes the idea that you need that soulmate in order to be happy, because you don't believe you're complete without it, means you're usually going to attract an individual to reflect your belief in your own incompleteness. If you know you are complete within the relationship that you are, and simply would like to express a sharing of equals with another individual, you can attract an individual who functions on an equal vibratory plane to share with as an equal. Not because you need them in the classical sense, but because they are you and you are them. Because you are reflecting identically to each other the joy and the ecstasy and the completeness you know you are. Now, when we say complete, that doesn't mean you're not going to grow, doesn't mean you're not going to change, doesn't mean you're not going to learn. Saying complete doesn't mean you're finished. Being complete simply means you know and trust at any given moment that if you are, in your terms, doing the best you know how to do with integrity, then you are completely whatever idea you are being in that moment, and whatever idea you are being in that moment is absolutely equally valid to any other idea you have ever been or will ever be. It stands on its own as its own idea. It is not worse or judgmentally better in an invalidating way than anything else you have ever been. It is different. It can be more expansive, can be grander in scope and perspective, but it is equal. Equal. And complete as what it is. If it changes, it is something else. It is not a better this. It is different. It may be more conducive to the way you prefer to be. It may be more representative of that. But it isn't a better this. It's something else. Because you, every time you change, are a different person. Literally. Because a person is your artificial projection of an idea you're being at any given moment. So, now you are being given an opportunity in this sense, to fully feel the totality of your being. If that individual has definitions within their reality that make them believe that responsibility is a matter of burden rather than freedom, then you have attracted into your life an individual that now that you have reached a certain point of understanding simply no longer complies with your frequency, and by definition must go their way because they may still be working on something or are working on something different than you. But this gives you an opportunity to recognize that you have changed as well, and therefore you can allow that change to be representative of the ideas you desire to become. And in becoming those new ideas, those expanded ideas, you will then attract whatever individuals are representative of whatever level you are willing to have the conviction to express in your life. The stronger the conviction, the more willing you are to represent the fullness of who you believe yourself to be, then the more reflective the individuals you attract into your reality will be on that level. And if you are simply fully willing at any given moment, whether you are finished learning or not, which you never will be, but if you're willing to express the fullness of who you are at any given moment with absolute trust, then you usually wind up attracting an individual who will reflect it right back to you. And that is usually what you refer to as a soulmate. The one you made an agreement with to reflect to you when you were operating on full. When you had the willingness to believe in yourself utterly, even if you were not yet the definition you preferred to be, you still trusted that you were operating in the capability of becoming that idea. Understand?
Fully. Thank you for your wisdom.
It is your wisdom. Or it is ours together to share.
Thank you.
It belongs to everyone. It is not mine in that sense. I do not own it.
You help put it into perspective.
All you need to do is find out what it is that represents the excitement in your life and do it. Act on it with integrity. Because excitement is the vibration that represents who you are. That's why you do get excited about things. Because what excites you is who you are. Act on it. Trust it. It will support you. Thank you.
I will do that. Thank you.
Pleasant dreams to you. Shooting.
Good evening.
And to you, good day.
Is there indeed a planet we would call Demas? And are there souls incarnated on the earth plane from that planet at this time for the purpose of observation of some sort?
We are unfamiliar with the terminology of that name. Will you define it in terms of location and your understanding?
Okay, I'm not really sure because I don't understand it either. I have a friend who thinks she may be from this planet.
All right.
And it's evidently a planet that's been discovered since I've been out to sea. I work on ships. I haven't heard anything about it. I've asked people, and she at first thought people were approaching her and telling her she was from Venus. And then she read or heard somewhere that there was a planet discovered recently called Demas.
Do you have a spelling?
I think it's D-E-M-U-S or D-E-M-I-U-S.
The only idea that we can make a reference to through what we understand of your society's knowledge would perhaps be the idea of one of the Martian moons. But that was already known by all of you.
Mm-hmm.
There has been no planet in that sense that has been discovered in what you might call your astronomical sense by any of you.
I see.
For the idea of any other planetary body, not within your own solar system, at this time, is beyond your technological capability to perceive.
Yeah, I believe it's supposed to have been in our solar system.
Then you are perhaps discussing an idea that is in another dimensional plane.
I see.
And in that sense, what you might be referring to are, in your terms, psychic or telepathic recognition, rather than the idea of physiological discovery. Now, one moment. As far as we can perceive at this time, and this may not be in your terms a complete picture, for this energy seems to be somewhat coming in from a tangent. What we can perceive of the connection that is being referred to may be as follows. In what you would call your past, in other civilizations upon your world, there were an influx of incarnations from other planets, and it may simply be a general representation reference here and there to other civilizations, But it is our perception that this may represent in general the overall influx of incarnation from other systems at certain times in your planetary history.
I see.
To which this individual may belong to one of those influxes.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Now, one moment. One moment. If that individual, in a centered meditation, will simply flow with feeling, not analysis, but just feeling, and reason, not forsaking reason, but not overly analyzing, flow with the vibration they think represents that connection, within what you call approximately the time frame of 3 of your weeks, they can attract further information that will help clarify that connection into their lives.
I'll pass that on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is that all?
That's it.
Thank you.
Shooting.
Hi.
Hi. How are you today of your time?
Well, I'm much better today.
Oh, much better today.
Yeah.
All right. How will you be tomorrow?
Hopefully even better.
Hopefully means you doubt it.
Well, I've been having a really hard time.
Oh, hard time. Oh, do share so that all may learn how to apply your sharing in their own lives.
Okay. I'm kind of nervous.
Why?
In front of all these people because...
What people? They are all extensions and aspects of you. All you're doing is standing in front of your own mirror. Proceed.
Okay, I'm just afraid of my emotions.
Afraid of your emotions? Why?
Because they get out of control.
No, they don't. You can choose to allow them to. But they don't have a mind of their own, you know. Also, emotions are reactions to something you believe to be true. Now, we will extend to you the understanding that this interaction for us is also the first time. Everyone is new every moment. So even if there are other people, they're doing this for the first time too. So, by all means, share.
Okay.
Yes?
Last Saturday night, I
Yes?
took a whole bunch of sleeping tablets. And
All right. Well, you're very
I'm
tired.
laughing now.
Yes?
Yeah, and so
Yes?
I was just... It was just like I was going to the refrigerator to have a glass of apple juice or something, and I just took them thinking I was going to, go to sleep. And the reason that I did that was because I've under the past 3 or 4 months, I've been just under a real emotional decline to where I was just becoming totally functionless. And it's kind of a long story, but...
that's all right. I've got the whole picture.
Okay, the trigger for me doing this was that I thought that I had become so intensely emotionally negative and insecure that my boyfriend was going to abandon me. Because I knew how intense and negative I'd become, and I know that's not my real self because I've seen me as another person.
Oh, yes, all right. Now, any self at any given moment that you choose to be is your real self, because you can create your persona to be anything, and anything you create it to be is real. And by the way, any vibration of emotionality you are feeling right now is helping you to release and balance and center yourself. So don't worry about the tears. You know what you are doing, and you are processing just fine. However, the idea of the sleeping pills may simply have been symbolic and representative of the fact that you are finally becoming tired of trying to be someone you're not.
I know.
All right. Now, have you allowed this experience to let you finally give yourself permission to be who you prefer to be?
Yes, I've noticed some changes already.
All right.
I've noticed incredible changes. It's almost like it was. I had to force myself to hit rock bottom in order to get out of the block.
We have noticed that many of you on your planet are very clever in using that technique. Many times you will have bought into belief systems so strongly that the only way you will allow all avenues to be equally up is to hit dead bottom, or what you think is dead bottom. However, now that you have allowed yourself to go through the void, you have now brought the power of creation with you. For you are willing to face yourself and make a decision to continue with the light and to know that you are empowered. You took yourself through the door. You are on the other side. In a sense, the old you did die. And a new you is now in existence. With an utterly new present and an utterly new past and an utterly new future. Because whatever you are in the present is what creates your past. Understand?
Yes. Yeah.
So, now, are you willing, as the new you, to simply know that you can do the things that really excite you in life and that those things really will support you? It's all right if there's still some doubt.
I have doubts because I don't trust. Like I said, I don't have enough trust in my emotions. I've been.
All right.
I went through.
Well, now, one moment.
Okay.
Very well put. And you were worried. Now, remember what we discussed at the beginning. All of you have always used trust. You trust perfectly in your emotions. It's simply that you trust more in the negative ones than the positive ones. You trust implicitly. It is simply that you are choosing to believe that your emotions have a mind of their own. That's your choice to believe. That's your definition, and it is your definition that seems to give them independent power. They don't have independent power. You are utterly controlling them on your strings. Utterly. But you have created a definition that allows the strings to be invisible to you. So that you think they have a life of your own and do not notice the connection between the movements of your hand and the movement of the puppet that you are calling the emotion. Start noticing that they only move when your hand does. In other words, the emotions only will flare up in that sense when you believe most strongly in making the choice that they can act autonomously. Then the strings become invisible. As soon as you understand, wait a minute, I am empowering them. They get their power from me. They don't have any other source. Therefore, I must be choosing to activate them in that way. Now, why would I want to choose to activate them in that way? If I don't prefer it, why would I choose that scenario? Must be something I believe in. Must be a definition I bought into. Do I prefer this definition? Yes, no, no. What definition do I prefer? This one. Then since I know my definitions are what have created my reality, I can assume that my new definition will create a new reality. Because it's always worked that way. You have always used that mechanism. You have never not used it. You function flawlessly. You always get what you most strongly believe you will. And remember, fear is a strong negative belief. And it empowers itself, in that sense, through you. Anytime you put most of your investment into one particular point of view, it's going to generate a self-perpetuating cycle of expansion. a negative spiral or a positive one. It doesn't care. It only takes its orders from you. Oh, you believe in negative emotionality? All right. Here it comes. Oh, you believe in positive emotionality? All right. Here it comes. It doesn't care. You make the choice to believe. And when you make the choice, that's what you get. So it isn't, as you say, running amok. Remember that even if it seems you are out of control, you are creating that situation, so you're in control of creating the illusion that you're out of control. You always control it. It can't be any other way. There is no other source of energy other than the energy that comes through you to empower anything that has to do with you. It doesn't come from outside. There is no outside. It cannot act on its own. Understand?
Yeah, I understand. I understand intellectually.
Thank you. One moment. Very good. Listen to the belief system. I will say I understand intellectually because everyone knows. That is different from understanding emotionally. Why? Because you define it to be different. If you know you understand at all, why not assume you understand as you need to? Instead of continuing to believe in the segregated definition of understanding it intellectually and understanding it emotionally. Belief in the segregation is what creates the feeling that there is a segregation in your understanding. Believe that when you understand, you do understand on all the levels you need to. And that the idea of levels in and of itself is your creation. You really are not composed of levels. You're one thing. One consciousness. So take it for granted, not that I have, in this sense, forced you to. Not that I say you must, because you don't have to. But we can suggest that it's all right to take it for granted that when you understand something at all, you understand it. Period. On whatever scope, in whatever perspective you need to. And that if you simply relax into the notion that you understand it, that relaxation will allow you to begin to experience in concrete terms that you do in fact understand it more completely than you originally thought you did. Understand?
I'm trying to.
All right. Relax. It's not that complex. You're making it more complex than it has to be. As simply as I'm stating it, it is that easy. May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you believe that things have to be difficult in order to be valid?
Up to this point, my life has proven so because my life has been I've made my life very, very difficult.
All right. Next question. Do you wish to continue to believe?
No.
Well put. Now.
So
here's one moment. Here's the fine line. And here's how your society usually chooses to define these things. All right, you say, now I don't prefer to believe that things need to be difficult in order to be valid. And usually the next question is, so how do I make them easier? You don't. You allow them to be easier by understanding that once you have the ability to conceive of how you would prefer it to be, your ability to conceive of it is the manifestation of that reality. That's it. You don't need any long, involved process in order to make what you have conceived to come true. The conception is the reality. All you have to do is act like you know that. Trust that if you have the ability to conceive of it, you are it. The second you are aware of any way in which you wish to be, you are, even as you imagine that way, creating that vibration in your life. That vibration means you are, at the moment you're conceiving of it, living that way. Just start acting like that person from that moment forward. Say, well, what would the person I prefer to be believe in? What types of belief would the person I believe I wish to be have within them? They would believe this, not this. They would believe this, not this. They would believe life is easy. Believe it. It's just as valid. I understand that your society is in the habit, quote unquote, of invalidating one phrase over another phrase because of what it thinks is experiential evidence that one phrase has more validity than another. But that experiential evidence, so to speak, that the negative occurs more often than the positive, is only because you originally had that belief, and all you're doing is reinforcing the original belief with experiential evidence. Remember that the situation in your life does not occur before the belief. The belief exists first, then the physical reality is experienced, which can reinforce the belief. But the physical experience didn't create the belief. The physical experience comes into manifestation to bring to the surface, to a conscious recognition, what may have been an unconscious belief, but it was a belief first nonetheless. So once you have the physical reality and you recognize, I don't prefer this reality, it's there to show you that you had a belief that that was the most likely reality you could manifest. Therefore, it gives you the opportunity not to believe you're stuck with it, not to believe you're a failure, but to show you, look, this is what you believe. If you don't prefer it, what would you prefer to believe? As soon as you redefine it, your physical reality says to you, I'll match it. I promise, I guarantee you, I can't do anything else. That's what physical reality is about.
I've been able to do that with some things.
All right. Then use those as examples and apply them over the entire scope of your reality. No situation is inherently, now pay close attention to this, no situation is inherently more difficult than any other situation. Only your definition of that situation makes it seem to be more difficult than another situation. So get involved in clarifying your definitions of why one circumstance would seem to have to be more difficult to accomplish than another one. Understand what you believe that makes it seem more difficult. Once you have clarified why you believe this is more difficult than that, then it won't be. You will allow them to be equal. You will understand the definition you have bought into, and you can rewrite it. And as soon as you rewrite it, it will replace the old definition automatically. Just live as if it has done so. And you will get the effect in your life that it has. It is a simple mechanism. Let it be that simple. It is that simple. I guarantee it. It is that easy. Nothing is too easy, too simple, or too good to be true. As we have said a few times, one of the greatest, I'll say, shocks, not meaning it in a negative way, one of the greatest shocks to your overall society, collectively and individually, will be to allow yourself to finally discover that what you have always thought of as a fairy tale attitude is actually the way life works. Believing is seeing. Not seeing is believing.
That's how I know the reality to be.
Then act like you know it.
You know, because of the pressures of society, everyone tells you can't be like this.
Whoa.
It's...
Whoa.
I just freaked out.
Whoa. There are no pressures in society that you can feel if you don't buy into them. Just because other individuals may choose to send pressure doesn't mean you have to sign for it. Send it back. And I do not mean send pressure back. Simply don't accept the charges. You don't have to. You are your own reality. They are their reality. Whatever they choose to send you, you can look at it, examine it, say, all right, well, I like this, I don't prefer that. Accept what you prefer. Send the rest back. There is no pressure other than the pressure you buy into your reality. You have to accept it. You have to believe it belongs in your reality in order to feel the pressure. If you don't believe it belongs in your reality, you won't feel it. It will be what you call a non sequitur. It won't relate to you. What do you mean you don't like my orange skin? I don't have orange skin. That doesn't relate to me. You must be talking about someone else. Anything that doesn't belong in the reality you have defined you prefer will be that much of a non sequitur. You simply won't understand that they're referring to you. Understand?
Yeah, I understand. I have a question concerning some other people that I know was one of the causes.
They are not the cause.
I know, I'm my own creator, I understand.
All right.
But I'm still confused.
All right.
And I haven't been able to let go.
All right.
It was some people who I lived with for a number of years.
Yeah.
And they helped me out of a very, very negative, life-threatening situation.
All right.
And kind of nurtured me. And then I was in a very serious accident, and I got a bunch of money. And it's still going on. That's one of the pressures.
It is not a pressure.
I know. Okay.
It is a situation as neutral as any situation.
Okay.
The meaning you give to it determines the effect you get out of it. Positive meaning in, positive effect out. Negative meaning in, negative effect out. The circumstance itself has no meaning. It is blank, devoid of meaning, empty, neutral, zero, zip. So continue.
Well, I was on disability for a long time, witness compensation, and the people, here we go again, pressured me to give them a whole bunch of money, and they wanted more, and then they got to my lawyers, and they, through some negotiation, they were able to get a whole bunch more against the PI case.
All right.
And it left me in a situation that I was penniless.
All right. But remember that you are infinitely abundant.
I know, but I don't understand. I put so much trust
One moment. Because of what you are discussing with me now, it is very obvious that you believe in the ability for other people to pressure you.
Well, I did.
And that's what you got. You got an absolute reflection through your trust in negativity of pressurizing.
But I thought it was positive.
It can be positive if you allow it to be. You can always transform anything in a positive way. All we are saying is not surprising that it happened, because then you obviously believed in the idea that individuals could pressure you, so obviously you attracted individuals that would reflect to you your strongest fear. That's the service they did you. Now, if you understand you no longer need that, then you will allow a flow of infinite abundance to once again come into your life. And if you simply understand that you have to buy into the pressure, then next time someone offers you the idea of the pressure, you won't give them your money to buy it. You will not pay for it. You will not buy it. Understand?
Yeah, I understand. The confusion in my brain is that whether it still comes up as to whether I'm the wrong one or they are, because
no one is. You are both co-creators of the situation. If it has presented to you a circumstance you no longer prefer, get in touch with your act, your part in co-creating it, redefine yourself, and move on. Then you will simply put yourself in a position and create an atmosphere around you where you can allow there to be the conduciveness of the flow of your abundance, and you will be a totally different person, having absolutely no more relationship to the idea of a history that belongs to someone you no longer are. Literally. No one is right or wrong, and if you stick around to try to determine that, you are continuing the invalidation and the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
It is not a matter of being right or wrong. It is a matter of learning to be what you prefer to be.
Mm-hmm.
And you are being given an opportunity in this circumstance to no longer believe or buy into certain beliefs you no longer prefer. So don't continue to buy into them, redefine them, move on. You'll have another reality. Plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
All right? You are doing just fine. Relax. You are learning in the way you have agreed to learn. You can change it, but you're doing just fine.
Yeah.
Remember that your confusion and disorientation are simply forms of meditation that you are also judging to be negative. Co-fusion, confusion, fusion with more of yourself. Depression is simply meditation judged. It is when you withdraw to the center of your being to get the answers you know you need because you know they're not outside you. Do not automatically assume that what you typically call confusion and depression and disorientation in your society have to be intrinsically, inherently negative things. Give them a positive meaning and you'll get a positive effect out of them. They are all different forms of centering, of meditation.
And so how would I find self-security? Because it boils down to...
You are secure.
Insecure.
You are secure. The idea of believing in insecurity is again doubting the power that you are. You don't have to find it. Be it. Act like you know that you are infinitely abundant and connected. Act like you know you have the ability to make decisions and that your reality will stick to your decision. Act like you know no one can force anything on you. If you know no one can force anything on you, what's there to be secure about? Why you need protection if you know you can never really be attacked?
Or abandoned.
Or abandoned. Remember, as one of the individuals in your society once said, you can say the word alone as alone, or you can say it as all one. So if you prefer to believe you're abandoned, you will say alone. If you understand you are always connected to the infinite, you will say all one. How can you be abandoned? Understand? Well, thank you.
Yes.
You are doing just fine. Relax and expand. Unconditional love to you.
Thank you.
At this timing, you may all enjoy a short break. We will resume contact in approximately 10 to 15 of your minutes. How's it going?
Great. Here's the next 10 names after the last. There's two more up here. Don Stewart is 11. 12 is Gettel. 13 Bobek. 14 Trina. 15 Lola Soul. 16 Daryl Lathan. 17 Pat Dodge. 18 June Burnett. 19 John Blake. 20 Bill Dashiell. And please come up afterward and line up. Please have about a 10 or 15 minute break at the most. There's refreshments in the other room, and you can order your copy of tonight's tape tonight.
Say, continue. And to you, good day.
I understand that before we come here, we make agreements.
Day.
And my question is, if you've made an agreement with two other people,
Day.
and two of them are willing to keep it, but the third one isn't, what happens?
Remember, first of all, that there is a lot of leeway within the general idea of what may be called an agreement. It does not always translate into an absolute specific type of interaction. The agreements that you make prior to what you call physical life can be, to some degree, specific, but they will usually be representative of general themes that you will play out. And an individual, even within the life, has the leeway and the free will to play out the overall agreement in any number of different ways. Either within integrity or outside of it, you can still find an individual involved in the particular theme that you have agreed to play out. You follow me? So far?
Yeah.
All right. Now, therefore, the idea is not to necessarily assume that they are not fulfilling the general agreement, even though they may not necessarily fulfill the specifics that you perceive to be representative of the agreement, or one way the agreement could be fulfilled. Do you wish to delineate the particular specific situation you are describing?
Mm-hmm.
Proceed.
Okay. Are you familiar with an entity called Nadimus?
By a general energy stream, but not necessarily by a specific, as it may manifest through different individuals on your planet. For it can be changed according to the persona, to some degree, that funnels a connection with that energy. Understand?
I'm not sure. He has said that he would be known by another name.
Yes. The idea, once again, is simply to understand that all beings, all levels of consciousness that make associations with any other level of consciousness, the being they make an association with will always be able to translate in their own terminology what they believe the original consciousness to be. It can appear very different from being to being as they may relate their connection to the same consciousness. It still can be representative of the same overall consciousness, but it may appear very different. And so the vibration will be to some degree different from individual to individual as they have a personal relationship with that particular energy.
Mm-hmm. But if the three of us have made an agreement and one backs out, what happens to the...
What is your definition of backing out?
Not doing it.
In what way not doing it?
Not completing it.
In what way? Your definition of what may represent completing it may not be a definition necessarily, or the only definition of completing it. What is your specific definition? What is the scenario?
Oh, well, like that, the person would allow, that is doing the channeling, would
Yes.
allow the energy of this
Yes.
Nadimus to come in
Yes.
as she had agreed.
All right. And if they do not feel for some reason that they are ready,
Right.
is that not allowed?
Yes, but then
Well,
what
then.
happens to, like, say, me in my part of the agreement?
What happens to it?
Yeah.
What is your part in it?
The facilitator and, setting it all up and...
Yes. Are you willing to assist that individual
Yeah.
because you are excited about the idea overall?
It's what I really want to do.
You are willing to be of service to the
Right.
individual.
Right.
Then allow yourself to be of service by assisting them to get in touch with the trust and the unconditional love they may need to understand to allow them to feel comfortable in letting the energy come through. The idea is that if an individual seems to be, in your terms, backing off, then obviously there is something within them they need to come to terms with.
Right.
Be of service in that way and allow the individual to come to terms at their own good timing. You
Okay.
cannot force them. And at the same time, you can recognize that that doesn't necessarily have to be the only individual the energy comes through.
Oh. Okay.
Now, may I ask you a question?
Yes. Please do.
Well, thank you. Can it come through you?
See what I do. I hear it.
Yes.
I hear it in a different way.
So?
Telepathic.
So?
Which I've always done.
Yes, so?
Well, no one's going to listen to me.
What?
No, they won't.
Why not?
Because what people are into now is channeling. And what they want...
One moment.
It's true.
One moment. I know what you're saying. However, the whole idea is for individuals to become self-empowered and recognize that you are all always channeling. And that channeling is simply allowing a flow to occur without worry.
Now, I know that.
All right.
I've known that for a long time.
All right.
And I have been able to do that.
Yes.
Because I hear and see entities.
All right.
And always have.
Then why is that not sufficient?
Because what I have observed
Yes.
is that what people want
So?
when we're doing this
So?
is like when she does this.
Yes. So?
If I would say the very same thing, which I could do,
Yes.
they give no validity because I'm not in a trance and because I'm
One moment. One moment.
true.
Yes, it is true, but it's true because you attract individuals that fit your belief that no one will give you validity because you're not in a trance. That's the only reason it's true.
So how can I...
By having the boldness to understand that your way is just as valid. Seems to me not meaning to be derogatory here at all, that there's more hesitation on your as well as the other individual's parts equally.
Really?
Yes. So all you're getting is a chance to work with someone who's exhibiting the same degree of hesitation that you are.
Oh.
What a wonderful reflection for you. What a wonderful opportunity to validate the way you are and to understand that if you are that way, then obviously there must be some individuals the way you do it will serve. For every individual that is willing to express who they are, there will always be an audience. But if you don't believe it, then you won't attract it. And then it won't be so obvious. But it's only not obvious because of your belief that the way you do it isn't valid and can't be of service. That individuals won't accept it. I know what you mean. However, let me remind you and everyone present right now that the way you are experiencing this channeling, even though it may have begun for the purpose that you stated, the main purpose of this channeling, in the way it is being done, is to put itself out of a job.
Right.
To render itself obsolete.
Right.
So that each and every individual knows they have the accessibility you already know you have.
Right.
Therefore, if you are bold enough to be one of the first examples of that, why hold back? Well,
I probably do have a fear.
Yes, obviously.
Obviously.
But don't worry about it. If that is the way you really are, if that is truly representative of the way you flow, you will find individuals who will be able to allow you to be of service to them, while they will be of service to you by allowing you to recognize that you must, by definition, fit into the overall reality. And therefore, for every sender, there must be a receiver. Understand?
Yeah, but my greatest fear is that they won't realize I'm receiving.
All right.
Or is that...
But you can tell them you are.
I know, but...
But what?
Well, I really do see that they give twice the validity to if someone's in a trance. I could say exactly
we
the
understand that for now is seemingly the majority attitude upon your planet.
So,
but when will it change?
Right.
When
Tell
you
me.
change it. That's when it will change. When you take the first step to present it in a format that they can get used to as being just as valid. If you don't give them the opportunity to see any other way, it will take longer for them to realize there are other ways. Yes.
So could you give me some help in what to do? How to do it? Because obviously I don't know what to do.
Oh, obviously you do. It is simply that you are not willing to act upon it. You know how to present the idea that you have access to information can be of service to individuals. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that comes with banners and horns and lights. The idea simply is that you offer your services to assist as a reflection to all who may require it in that way. You don't even have to necessarily define, per se, how the information is coming. Just be involved in a dialogue with whoever is attracted to your willingness to, quote-unquote, as you say, advertise, that you are willing to engage them in a self-reflective dialogue that will allow them, perhaps, to see things they need to learn about themselves.
I do that to one degree right now.
Well, then.
Well, I want it to be more than that.
Well, it can be as soon as you validate your methodology. As soon as you do not see it as limited. It won't be.
Okay.
You will then be able to be one of the examples that creates the change.
Okay.
Somebody has to.
Right.
Might as well be you.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Could you tell me about the two crystals that I have? That are...
No.
No.
You have the ability to know everything you need to know.
Do I?
Of
about
course.
those two large crystals?
Yes.
That have come into my
Yes.
awareness?
Remember simply that they are triggers, catalysts,
Right.
to awaken reflections within you to yourself.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shooting.
Aloha.
And to you. Aloha.
Quick. I've been having a really great time.
Oh, thank you.
All kinds of things.
Yes.
And one of my sparkliest excitements is crystals.
Yes.
And I asked you before about some ones that were smoky, clear, and cloudy. And
Yes.
now there's the next batch came out a little different.
Yes.
And I enjoy that. I know that there's a synchronicity with the symbolism.
Oh, do you now?
Oh, yeah.
Well, would you care to share what it is?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
Well, all right.
The ones that I've been coming across lately have clear on the bottom, and then like a diagonal strip of some cloudy, but it's not really cloudy, just like spots, and then it's clear on the top again.
Yes.
And I have two exciting versions.
Oh, all right.
One of them is there's a little galaxy in there. It's just swirling around like the Milky Way.
All right.
And the other one is it could be an opportunity for somebody who would like to play to clear a crystal.
All right. Very good, both of those. Very exciting.
Yes.
Thank you for discovering tools that can reflect those ideas.
I was wondering if you'd like to share anything about those crystals.
No.
Why, thank you.
Remember, this is weaning time.
Yes.
You already know. Trust it. Act on it.
Okay. I would like to invite anybody who is interested. I would like to start something, and anybody else who would like to be involved in something we could do after the class here, somewhere else, where people would like to be in physical contact, like a circle of massage or energy, sharing. And then anybody that's interested in doing that, we'll talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sharing.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Thank you for all your hilarious comments.
And for yours.
Thank you.
Those about to come.
Thank you. What I'm interested in tonight is what is the scenario of what happens between lives?
It can be many different things. Simply remember that you are a thought form in a world of thought form. There are, because you have created there to be so many different levels, so to speak, in what you call the non-physical reality, quote unquote, between lives, linearly speaking, any number of scenarios can occur. The general foundational scenario is whatever you believe in most strongly will be what you experience immediately, because there is no time lag in non-physical reality. Understand?
Right.
So, there are layers of frequencies, of vibrations that represent different degrees of perception and clarity of definition of the reality you know yourself to be. And it can range all the way from individuals not even knowing they are, in your terms, non-physical, all the way to individuals who simply absolutely know beyond a shadow of a doubt that they have the opportunity to project themselves into any type of experience whatsoever on any plane in any definitional sense. Anywhere in between, anything at all. Whatever you would imagine can be experienced in that non-physical realm, instantly. Now, because of the way you have created your world to be, because of the momentum that has been in the past generated, you have even allowed that radiation, so to speak, to quote-unquote leak into what you would call the lower levels, actually creating the idea of lower levels of non-physical reality, in which you can be non-physical and still not yet know that you have the ability to go anywhere you wish and be anything you want to be. You can create an automatic assumption in those levels that you perhaps have to reincarnate, creating what you call the karmic cycle, which is nothing more than an assumption, basically, that you have to keep reincarnating. It is simply recognition of a momentum. A momentum which can be played out in many different dimensions of experience, but which you all have assumed in the past has to be repeated here. It doesn't. It is up to you. Does this explain some of the ideas?
Yeah, it helps a lot because the second part was the key. How do you graduate so that you know that?
By knowing, right now,
that you have that choice.
That you have always complete and utter choice. If you become non-physical with that knowledge, You will know that when you're non-physical. And you will say, what do I want to do now? And you will be very clear about it.
Great, so there's nothing that says you have to come back.
No.
Oh, great.
However, the one thing you will do to ensure that you might come back is to deny the validity of the physical existence. Because if you do not validate it as equal to anywhere else you could go, that's how you attach yourself to it, through your denial of it. That's what allows you to come back.
Well, the way do you do that is just learn to love this physical existence? Yeah.
Unconditionally.
Right. Okay.
For it is just as valid as any experience you could have. And you can create physical reality to be an ecstasy and a joy. If you're using the idea of non-physical reality to run away from physical reality, to escape that as if it were a prison, then that's simply not a recognition that if it seems to be a prison, you're the jailer. And you will keep putting yourself back into physical reality until you realize you hold the key. And anytime you want to turn the key in the lock, you can. And that's when you're really free. When you free yourself. Understand?
Right. I always have the fear that I'll love everything 99%, and there'll be one little thing I'll forget about, you know? And I'll have to come back. One person I forgot to forgive.
All right. But that's a definition, too.
That's a belief. That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shooting.
Hello, Bashar.
Good day to you.
I'd like to ask about the relationship my husband has with his ex-wife. It's a very angry situation, and it's very painful for him.
Still?
Still.
In what way?
In that any communication the two of them have seems to end up in arguments, and it stays with him for a long time.
So he believes in conflict?
Yes.
Why? How does it serve him to believe in conflict?
I believe that he thinks it keeps him from being vulnerable.
Is vulnerability a sign of weakness?
To him, yes.
Can he redefine it as strength?
I'm
Vulnerability
not sure.
being complete openness. Complete openness being complete connection to the infinite. Complete connection to the infinite being infinite strength. That's vulnerability.
I understand that,
All
and
right.
I am trying to work in that in myself also.
All right.
My question is that I don't seem to know how to help him with this situation.
Well, first of all, by being yourself. Fully yourself. Fully an example of the things you do believe. Work. And allow him the opportunity to see in you, by example, the attitude, the assurance, the trust that he can then see and say, you know, I like what I see in you. I would like to be that way. Think I'll match you. Think I'll copy you. So that I will not necessarily have to have the old assumptions of how I must react to people, and instead can choose to act the way I choose to, regardless of how anyone else chooses to. For all he is doing is reacting and not acting.
So really all I should do is just be an example of what I believe.
Well, that's all you can do. You can't force anyone to change, you know that.
I know that. And every time I try to discuss it with him, we seem to end up in a battle.
All right. But remember, sometimes, some individuals will not allow themselves to get the picture until they finally understand that when you are willing to serve him in unconditional love, but that doesn't mean that that is a sacrifice to what you prefer as a reality, and if the way he chooses to be means that you prefer to move on, then he will perhaps eventually see that's what happens if he chooses to remain the way he is. And perhaps if he desires to maintain a connection with you, he will then begin to understand that he might want to change. So the idea is to be of service, be loving, be supportive, but do not sacrifice what you prefer. If an individual is not reflecting the integrity you prefer in your idea of relationship, move on. You have served them all you can. And perhaps sometimes you actually serve them best by allowing them to see what happens if they stay the way they are.
By moving on, are you actually saying moving out of the relationship or simply moving on with what I'm doing?
Both, if necessary. Now remember that once a relationship is begun, it always goes on. It never really ends. But as you understand it, if an individual is simply not willing to use the service you are providing by being an example, being a reflection, if they do not appreciate the idea of who you are for that reason, if they simply refuse to learn that, if they simply insist on creating conflict, and you don't prefer that, then by all means, yes, physiologically speaking, why should you be in that relationship?
Okay.
Understand?
Yes. Is my part in being in this experience for me to learn?
Well, both of you.
Yes.
But as we perceive the idea, if that individual in your terminology is more focused on the idea of conflict, it can mostly be a lesson concentrated for him that you can reflect.
Okay. I understand. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Allow more information in the assistance you will receive also in your dream reality. Do not worry. Relax and allow the information to come through, for there are those that can be of assistance to you in the form you would call guides in your dream reality. All right?
All right. Thank you.
Pleasant dream. Shooting.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Good day. I've been reading some books on Nikola Tesla.
Yes.
And while reading the books, I found out that I was very angry with Thomas Edison.
All right.
And also Steinmetz. And I said, oh, no, here we go again. Could you tell me who or I was in that general relationship of the development of electrical power in the United States?
No.
That's what I thought.
But I can tell you who you are now.
Oh, good. Who am I now?
Someone who can translate the idea of Tesla's work into something that will work in your society now.
Oh, good.
So, do it.
Okay.
Does that serve you?
Yes, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Remember simply, in many cases, we will be very hesitant to assign a specific label that we feel would limit your focus. The idea is to simply recognize that if you know the energies and the vibrations and the ideas you are connected to now, then be that person now, and anything else you need to know, you will discover. But you do not need to know that idea, nor need to form a specific connection in what you would simply call a reincarnational sense, to be able to give forth the idea that excites you now. If you identify with a particular frequency that is represented by those individuals, then simply assume, whether it is direct or not, that you belong to the same club, act accordingly, and give forth of your gifts along that line. All right?
All right.
Thank you very much. And remember the 7 1/2 cycle per second pulse. Shitting! Oh, one moment. Remember also that is the product, as you say it in equational terms, of dividing the circumference of any world into what you call the speed of light. And you will get a number that represents the pulses per second in the electromagnetic spectrum that is the frequency of that planet. Understand?
Yes.
Thank you. Shooting!
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I have 2 opportunities in relation to my physical well-being that I would like coaching in.
Coaching? Do you have one of your footballs?
Sorry, I want to get on the team.
All right.
The first one is in regard to my desire to have a baby.
Yes.
I've been actively engaged in pursuing that desire for a number of months.
All right.
And so far unsuccessfully.
Unsuccessfully?
So far I have not realized that desire.
Oh, all right. That doesn't mean it's unsuccessful. Why do you recognize that the desire exists?
Why do I recognize that the desire exists? Is that the question you're asking me?
Yes. If you wish, why does the desire exist? I will shorten it to that.
Okay.
Why do you want a child?
I want to have a child. I have the feelings of motherhood.
Yes.
I've always wanted to be a mother, and this is a time in life that either I'm going to be one or I'm not.
Oh, why?
Because I'm reaching an age where women no longer have children in our society.
Oh, really? What age is that?
Over 40.
Yes. So?
And I have been
Oh,
told...
one moment. So you are that age. So what?
I'm concerned about having a child now.
I see.
And
It seems to me that there are many individuals in your society that we are aware of that have had children past that age.
Yeah, and there's a certain cutoff date for women in our society where they can no longer have children.
I see. Who invented that date?
We did.
Can you change the date?
It's one of the things that I'm...
Working on?
Yeah, working on.
Well, don't work so hard at it. Maybe you're constricting the flow out of desperation.
I've always had the attitude that I would have children when I was ready to. There would be no problem.
Well, then.
And I've been doing visualization.
Yes. So what has changed?
Being told by medical professionals that I'm not that my body is not going to have children.
Well, no, not until you're ready to.
And I feel that I'm ready.
All right.
I'm concerned
Do you
about
have a child?
changing that, shifting that.
Do you have a child?
No, I don't.
Then you're not ready. Now, are you willing to trust that? Instead of being desperate that you are coming down to some sort of a wire. Yes or no? Are you willing to trust that if you really do recognize that the timing is perfect, is flawless, then why not trust it still? Why not simply recognize that you have put out the desire, and that your desire is your recognition of the fact that you have made such an agreement? And therefore, when you relax and stop confining the agreement with all of these notions of what your society tells you is and isn't possible, then you will relax sufficiently to allow the agreement to fulfill itself whenever the timing really is appropriate. And therefore, since you know it can fulfill itself whenever the timing is really appropriate, if that timing happens to be beyond what your society thinks is an acceptable margin, so what?
That's fine, and I'm concerned about my ability, having been told that I may not physically be able
Many
to...
individuals are told that by medical personnel because at that time it is true. Because it isn't representative of the timing. And if you have made a specific agreement with a particular being who is not a child at this point, so to speak, then if it is paramount that the timing for that particular birth be the only timing, sometimes many of you simply ensure that you will not have a child before the timing by rendering yourself incapable of having one. And you will be told you are incapable of having one. But, as has happened many times in your society, no matter what the medical practitioner says, all of a sudden, there's the child. Well, I could have sworn.
That's right.
I was sure you weren't capable. Well, there's the child. Well, I guess. Well, I don't know what to make of it. It has happened many times, you know.
Absolutely.
Why not simply trust that the desire you originally felt is indicative of your awareness of such an agreement, and let the agreement fulfill itself in the timing that really does represent the perfect timing for the fulfillment of the agreement?
Okay.
The more you worry about the deadlines, the more constriction you put on your enjoyment of the now. And the longer you make it take to allow the agreement to occur. Because you don't allow yourself to become, very quickly, the person, the being made the agreement to be born to.
Yes.
You simply aren't that person yet. Relax about the definitions.
Okay.
And remember, on. Outworld, I am aware of individuals that have children around 200.
Yes, so I've heard. I'm very anxious to visit. Where can I sign up?
The easiest way to visit our reality is create it for yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
When you then know it is possible for you, you will then know you are equal to the idea we are, and that's what will make it more conducive for us to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
But only when you know it's possible for you first. Understand?
Yeah, terrific. That's great.
So relax.
Okay.
And within the next 3 days of your time, see what kind of information you get in your dream reality from the child.
Okay.
Relax, relax, relax.
May I now ask you about the other health opportunity that I have at the same time, which may or may not be related?
Briefly.
Okay. I have a difficulty breathing.
No, all
I've
right.
had chronically since a child.
Yes.
That has gotten worse over time and is quite acute now, so that I have trouble sleeping. And also I've done a lot of visualizations and work on it, and I wonder if you have any suggestions on what I'm missing in the lesson in this breathing.
To some degree, it is tied in to the idea of the child.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
In the sense, all right. Now, you have been together many times before, you and the supposed child we are discussing. What you are doing now is being given an opportunity by the child to come to terms with being comfortable in physical reality and not assuming that it is suffocating you. This is something that happened in another life of yours. When you know it is clear for you to exist in the physical reality with comfort, you will then believe you can bear a child into a world that will support it and not suffocate it. Because you believe you were suffocated by physical reality in your other life.
Mm-hmm.
And in a sense, to some degree, you have created a focus on lives where you have literally died of suffocation. Mostly, it will translate into the idea of what you call external pressure that you buy into. The idea, once again, of not having enough time. To some degree, that idea is wrapped up in the suffocation. Understand that you belong. You belong. You belong. You fit. Your timing is flawless. Lengthen the span of your breath because you have all the time in the world. You're not in a hurry. Relax. You're infinite, infinite, infinite. Take infinite breaths. What's your rush? It is the rushing that finds you short of breath.
I see.
And it is also connected to the idea that the child, you fear that the child, because of what you're experiencing, will suffocate in the same reality. The delay on the child's part is to give you the time to discover that you don't have to suffocate. If in that sense you don't believe you have enough air for you, how as a mother can you support the child?
Mm-hmm.
Understand?
Yes.
So, in your imagination, relax. Feel the eons that you are. Feel the eons. Breathe infinity. Think in longer cycles. Not in terms of length, meaning waiting, waiting, waiting. Just feel the depth of infinity. That is all present in each and every single now. For each and every now is eternal. Each and every now is infinite. Feel yourself expanding across the ages. Do not think so much of the barrier you call time. Do not think so much of time as a barrier. Then you will find you will expand. Deepen the vibration. All right?
Terrific. Thank you very much, Bashar. All my love to you.
And you. Feel love expanding you. Shedding.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
My name's Bob.
All right.
And I have a fascination and an interest with the occult science of numerology.
All right. Numerology.
I would appreciate your comment and sharing some ideas on that.
All right. Now, like almost any idea, it will be a tool, valid like any other idea, but remember, it is a reflection. It is a way of thinking of yourself. It is a way of psychically perceiving the ideas of all mentality, your connection to the infinite. It is a tool, a conduit, a catalyst, a trigger that has to do with your vibration. It is simply a tool that has an affinity for your vibration. A tool your vibration has an affinity for. So it works for you as a trigger to allow you to expand in your senses, in your sensing, in your awareness of yourself and all around you, which is simply an extension of you. To some degree, it simply represents a recognition of the mathematical ratios as to some degree does astrology, the mathematical ratios of the vibratory patterns that represent the collective agreements you have all made with each other. So it is your way of symbolizing, codifying some of those agreements in a way that makes sense in your dimension of experience and will allow you to extract knowledge through that translation device. It is a way to speak to other areas of yourself in a way you find acceptable. Does that assist you?
Yes, it does. So it's a valuable tool that we can use.
All tools are. If it attracts you, use it.
Okay.
If it doesn't, don't. It's that simple.
Okay.
But they are all extensions of you. The power is within you. You are simply using the tool as an exteriorized trigger, a catalyst, to get you going.
Okay.
In time, you will simply do the sensing without the tool. You will be numerology. You will be astrology. You will be the idea itself that it represents. So you will not need to go through an exteriorized tool.
Okay.
Does that assist you?
Yeah, it does. The word that I caught is a catalyst to move me on. So I suppose that's the reason for my fascination.
Yes.
Okay, so I think it's working.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
By the numbers. Shooting.
Hi, Bashar.
Hi.
I would like to see if you could give me some more focused direction on my connection with animals.
Connection with animals.
I'm happy in my lifetime with what I'm doing, but I'd like to get...
Yes.
I'd like to become more focused.
In what way?
In working with animals.
All right. Now, we have discussed the idea of using that sparkling imagination, have we not?
Yes.
How do you see yourself working with animals, then?
Well,
give me a picture.
I've done a lot of different things. And I am doing a lot of different things.
But obviously, if you believe there is another way for you to expand, on some level you must have an image of what that means.
I would like it to be on a more spiritual level.
Tell me what that means. Paint me a picture. If you were doing it on what you call a more spiritual level, describe what you would be doing. Describe a typical interaction with an animal, doing it the way you desire to do it.
Well, since I automatically communicate with them...
Yes? How much more spiritual can you get?
Well, except for I just communicate with them.
And? What do you mean, just?
Well, I was thinking that maybe there is a way of doing something that within work or...
For what purpose? In what way? To what end?
How
would you like to apply your connection?
Well, I can heal them because I can understand what they're saying.
Well, all right. Anything else?
But what else is there?
Well, do you want to do that?
Well, I do that.
Well, all right. Well, what else do you want to do?
I guess my question is, the work that I'm doing now is fine for now.
Oh, fine for now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it gives me money, it gives me...
Does it give you joy?
Sometimes.
Why only sometimes?
Because I don't think that the government is where I always want to be for the rest of my life.
But you are the government.
I don't know if I want to be working for our government.
Then change yourself, and you have changed the government.
Well, I realize that.
Now, you can work within that structure as you recognize it, or you don't have to. That is correct. But again, it comes back to my original question. How do you see yourself doing what you want to do? Give me a scenario. Where are you? What are you doing?
Well, right now I have a new puppy that I'm going to train in tracking.
All right. But that's not specifically what I'm asking you.
But that's specifically what I'm doing right now.
Yes. But you are expressing to us a desire to do something we assume in a way you feel would be a more expansive representation.
Right, for me and for them.
Then give me a picture. What does that mean? If you are not going to be where you are now in your governmental structure, where will you be? Will you be in some sort of a building? Will you be outdoors? Where will you be? How will you be interacting? What will you be doing with the knowledge? How will you apply it?
I would have to be outside.
Well, thank you. That's the first description you've given me since I've asked. Continue. Outside, what does it look like? Where's that imagination? Tell me what the picture looks like.
Well, I could live in a jungle quite happily.
Well, thank you. Then go to one. If that's what excites you the most, that's where you belong. Why aren't you there?
Well, being realistic.
I beg your pardon. Are you now really going to tell me and expect me to believe that living in a jungle isn't realistic? Are there not many people on your planet that live in jungles?
This is true.
Are they not real?
They're real.
Then it's realistic to live in a jungle.
Well, I think my question is could you help me in a direction?
I am.
Well, I mean, I don't just leave tomorrow on a plane and go to the jungle.
Why not? You think I'm being facetious. I'm not. Why not? Give me a reason.
Well, I would have to have some kind of a plan or a destination.
Oh, really? All right. Which jungle excites you the most? Well?
Africa.
The African jungle excites you the most. All right. Then put the vibration out there and trust that it's representative of a realistic reality. Then you will attract into your life the circumstances that will easily, effortlessly, joyfully, ecstatically get you there.
Is that what you think I should be doing in this lifetime?
There are no shoulds. You're missing the point. What excites you the most is who you are. What excites you the most is what you can most effortlessly and abundantly do. That's why it excites you, to tell you that it is the most effortless and abundant thing you can be doing, and the thing that can be of best service. It's not a matter of should. It's a matter of saying whether or not you really want to be who you are or fighting it. Then do what excites you the most. That's who you are. It's not a matter of should or shouldn't. You don't have to do it. You don't have to be your natural self. You don't have to follow what excites you the most. You don't have to trust that it will support you in life. But if you do, your life will be effortless, abundant, and ecstatic. But you don't have to have an effortless, abundant, and ecstatic life. So I'm not going to tell you that you should do it. I'm only telling you that you can do it. And I'm guaranteeing that if you do follow your excitement, you will have an ecstatic, abundant, and effortless life. So you decide whether you want to or not. I can't tell you if you should. Maybe you want to suffer. I don't know. And if you want to suffer, then I'm not going to tell you you shouldn't. Because obviously if that's what you want to do, you're a big girl. You can make your own decisions. I don't have to make them for you.
Well, I like doing a lot of things.
Then do them. And recognize that the one you can do that excites you the most will be representative, most of who you are. If you cannot act immediately on the one that excites you the most, radiate the desire for it and act upon whatever circumstance you can act upon that excites you the most at any given moment, whether it seems connected or not. Excitement is what tells you it is connected and is what tells you it will lure you into a circumstance to give you the capability to do the other thing that excited you more that you weren't capable of doing before. It works that easily. Life is an ecstatic explosion of synchronicity, of coincidence. Finding yourself in the right place at the right time to get you what you want. But only if you act on the thing at any given moment that excites you the most. By trusting that the excitement in it is what connected to all the other excitement, even if it doesn't appear on the surface to be connected. Example. You have now expressed the idea of a desire to be in an African jungle, working with animals. Oh joy, says you. You do not necessarily, after an honest examination, find that there is any true capability you have immediately of acting on it directly. So you look around. What is the next thing that excites me the most that I am capable of acting on? Well, now this doesn't seem to fit at all. I feel like I want to go, the thing that would excite me the most would all of a sudden be to take a trip to my local bookstore. Now that doesn't seem to have any fit at all, but it is the thing that excites me the most, with integrity. So I'll do it. All right, I'll trust it. I'll do it. So there you go. You're at your bookstore. And as you enter the bookstore, you'll notice there is a sale on books of the African jungle. And your fascination draws you to it, and you open it up. And lo and behold, in that book, you discover something you did not know. The information that sparks an inspiration within you. Well, what do you know? It's easier to get there than I thought. I could do it this way. Perhaps the way the book has suggested. Or, maybe when you walk in the bookstore, you'll win a contest to go to Africa. Or maybe someone will walk along, notice your interest in the African book and say, well, I have an interest in the African jungles too. I happen to be going there next week, and I was looking for someone to do such and such with me. Do you know of such a person? What? Says you? I want to do that. Oh, what a coincidence. Well, come along. I'll pay all your expenses. Now, too good to be true? Why? Life does work that way when you let it. That's the way life works, when you let it. It's not too good to be true. It's not too simple. It's not too easy. Oh, that's a fairy tale. That never happens in realistic life. Oh, yes, it does. All the time. It happens all the time to me. All the time. Never is there a time when it doesn't. Now, your world is learning that you can allow it to happen. Notice I didn't say make it happen. All the time, too. If you are willing to simply trust it. And trust the idea that excites you as being capable of supporting you. Both abundantly and in allowing you to expand in the thing that gives you joy. And allows you to be of service by doing the thing that gives you the most joy. It is only the thing that gives you the most joy that's going to allow you to be of best service. For if you're not enjoying yourself, how can you help anyone else? Understand?
I understand.
Has this explained the mechanism to some degree?
I need to go to where the excitement is.
You are the excitement. The idea is to act upon it by whatever avenue presents itself to you. Trusting it, yes. Go to where is representative of the thing that excites you. Be in that space.
Okay.
And you will be supported.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bon voyage. Shitting!
Good evening, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
My question has to do with an individual that left Van Nuys Airport on August 28th and didn't bother to come back. His name is Norman Jackson, and I feel that he may have fallen into some trouble, and I've been looking for him.
Give it approximately 1.5 to 2 of your months. Within that time frame, there will be information on the whereabouts of the individual.
Is he still alive?
I cannot tell you that.
He does not wish to have any of that released.
I cannot tell you that. It is not a matter of his wish, it is a matter of the timing. It is a matter of the things that we are allowed to say that will violate the process going on.
I understand.
All we can sense is that within, from our perspective, generally speaking, 5 weeks of average will be sufficient time to understand all that has transpired.
Thank you.
We thank you. Other sources of information will serve you. Shutting.
Good evening, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Thank you. It's good to see you again. Been away for a little while.
All right.
Yeah.
If you say so.
Out there in the ozone, right? Okay. I've been doing pretty good, and I'm finally getting together a bicultural band. I'm a singer, and everything's...
One moment. Did you all believe this person when they said they were a singer? Are you a singer?
Yes.
Really?
Really.
All right. Would you do me a favor?
Sure.
Say, I am a singer.
I am a singer.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Oh, more conviction, okay.
Yay.
Well, I do so many other things.
Yes, so?
To bring about this thing that really excites me. That, well, I'm finally getting this band together, and it's going really well, and all of a sudden something happened.
What happened?
I started losing interest in singing.
Oh! No wonder
and I don't know what's going
wasn't
on.
there.
Right.
All right. What are you interested in then?
Singing. I know, it's a paradoxical type of...
Wonderful. Paradox and irony are the beginnings of the recognition of the total soul. Use it. Now,
okay.
There are times you say when you are a singer, times you say you are not.
Yes.
All right. What are you when you're not?
I'm a private contractor in word processing programming.
One more time. I do not think some of the individuals even in the second row caught that.
Sorry. I'm a private contractor in word processing programming.
Does this excite you?
Yeah, there's times I really dig it. I really like it.
All right. So sometimes that is what you really are.
Yes.
Anything else?
No.
Nothing else?
No.
All right.
Just those two things.
Those two things. So you are either a singer or the programmer.
Yes.
All right. So, when you are not excited about being a programmer, do you then allow yourself to be the singer?
I'm always being the singer kind of underneath the other thing.
Kind of underneath.
Well, it's like I use the...
All right, you are a singing programmer.
Yeah.
Or are you a programming singer?
Well, I use
both.
Both, I guess.
Oh,
I use the programming to support what I need for singing.
Oh, really? Why?
Because it's taken a lot of money to put it together.
So
I go out and do the other work to support myself in life and to...
It doesn't sound like you really want to.
Want to what?
Do the other work?
No, I don't really want to. I really want to just sing.
Well, thank you for being honest. Then why don't you? Just sing. And trust that it can support you.
Well, it has in the past. It has, yes.
Well, then why not allow it to continue to do so?
Well, I'm just going through getting the new band together, so...
Yeah,
So we managed to get the work, but I don't have the show ready.
So? What has that got to do with anything?
Well, I need to be working for the financial aspects of
Why?
it. In order to pay for my living expenses.
Oh, really? Are you sure?
Well, it kind of looks that way.
Well, it may kind of look that way, but that's also the way you created it to look.
Really?
Well, of course. You create your reality with your beliefs. If you believe you need to do something that you don't really want to do in order to allow you to do something else you really do want to do, you will create the reality where you have to keep doing the thing you don't want to do be able to do the thing you do want to do. But you don't have to do it that way. You can allow your abundance to come in many ways. Many ways. Remember once again that abundance is simply the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. Doesn't mean it has to be in a certain format. It can be. And if you are excited about doing something else, then by all means go with that excitement. But that doesn't mean you have to force yourself to do something you really are not excited about doing. You can trust that other opportunities will come to you that will be exciting, even though they may not seem to be typical, even though it may not appear obvious as how they will bring you the abundance. If they come and they excite you, they will bring you the type of abundance you need. Understand?
Yes.
Are you willing to allow it to work?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Are you willing to understand that you can simply allow your situation to transform into one that may, on the surface, be judged by many of you to seem to be upsetting and disorienting and, oh no, I've lost this. But then realize in a positive way that you have opened yourself up to another situation where you may not need those things that you have been needing to support yourself.
I would like it very much, but when the rent comes due, the paycheck doesn't come from the singing as
You're
yet.
missing the point.
I am?
Yes.
Okay.
If you really believe in yourself as a singer,
yes,
why not let a reality come to you where either you will be in a circumstance that you will attract opportunities to allow you to pay the rent easily, or you will attract an opportunity where you don't need to pay rent.
Sounds good. Tell me more.
Are you capable of imagining a scenario in which you do not necessarily have to pay rent?
Yes, I can do that.
Can it be real to you?
Yes.
Does it excite you?
Yeah, I like it.
Then allow yourself to recognize whether it comes to pass in exactly that format or not is not the point. Radiate the strongest frequency of the idea and the intention you most excitedly are, and act upon the opportunities that come to you that also come with excitement. They will bring to you the circumstances that will give you what you need, even if it doesn't come in the way you have been taught to expect it has to, because it doesn't have to. It can come in many other ways. And if for some reason, being who you are means you must pay rent in what you call the classical fashion, if being who you are means that paying rent is the path of least resistance, you will have no difficulty in paying it. But if you simply find that it doesn't always have to manifest that way, then let your abundance come in all the different ways that it can. Open up your definitions. Expand your definitions of how abundance can come to you. Let it fluctuate. Maybe 1 month you will pay rent. Maybe the next one you won't.
Well, I don't mind paying it if I got it.
I understand. But the point is you don't have to struggle to get it.
Right.
Understand?
Yes.
Open up to different opportunities that could allow your abundance to flow in different ways. Maybe your landlord will come up and say, we gave everyone the opportunity a long time ago to pay too much, and now we're going to give it back to you in the form of not having to pay any rent this month. That's one way.
Yes.
There can be many other ways. Say, singer, I, your esteemed landlord, am leaving. How would you like to be the new landlord and not pay rent?
That's really weird that you should say that.
Oh. Why is it so weird?
I kind of got sort of an offer like that.
Oh, kind of. Well, what do you know? Surprise, surprise. Why don't you trust those type of offers as representative of other formats you could be receiving abundance?
True. But it's just not firmed up yet, but that's happened.
Firm it with your trust.
Okay.
Understand?
Yes, I do.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bashar.
Thank you for singing your song to all of us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
At this timing. Allow us to extend once again to each and every one of you the perfectness of all timing and the flow of yourself as life itself. You are the reality in which you exist. It is you. Be the idea you know yourself to be, body and soul. It is who you are. Live it. We thank you. We bid you fond and unconditionally loving and exciting dream life and life dream. You are dreaming right now. Wake up and live the dream you prefer to dream. Good day.
Thank you, Bashar.
How'd it go?
Great.
Thank you all for being here tonight.
As I mentioned before,